Next chapter. Genetics 101. Both sides of Dad's family were Jews from Russia and Poland. Papa's grandparents fled and ended up in NYC at the turn of the century. Tata's parents fled the Nazis and ended up in Argentina in the 40s. Papa and Tata met at a dance on the Lower East Side while she was in town visiting a cousin. They got married, moved to Bayside, and had Dad and Uncle Ben. Mom's side of the family is from Brazil, except for her mother, my beautiful grands, and her dad, who died before I was born. The rest of Mom's family, all of her glamorous aunts, uncles, and cousins, still live in Levant, a ritzy suburb south of Rio. Grands and Augusto moved to Boston in the early 60s and had Mom and Aunt Kate, who's married to Uncle Porter. Mom and Dad met at Brown University and have been together ever since. Isabel and Nate, like two peas in a pod. They moved to New York right after college, had me a few years later, and then moved to a brick townhouse in North River Heights, the hippie stroller capital of upper Manhattan. When I was about a year old, one person in the exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown any obvious signs of having what August has. I've pored over grainy sepia pictures of long dead relatives, black and white snapshots of distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniforms, ladies with beehive hairdos, Polaroids of bell-bottom teenagers and long-haired hippies, and not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one. But after August was born, my parents underwent genetic counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of recessive mutation in the TCOF1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy, and sometimes they're inherited from one parent carrying the dominant gene, and sometimes they're caused by the interaction of many genes, possibly in combination with environmental factors, and this is called multifactorial inheritance. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single genes that made war on his face. The weird thing is, though, you'd never know it from looking at both of them. Both of my parents carry that mutant gene, and I carry it too. So remember, this is from Via's perspective still. We are still in part 2 of the book. The Punnett Square. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass on the defective gene to them. That doesn't mean they'll look like August, but they'll carry the gene that got double dosed in August and helped make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there's a 1 in 2 chance that our kids will carry the gene and look totally normal. A 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August has children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 100% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it like August, which means they'll carry the gene no matter what, but they could look totally normal. If you marry someone who has the gene, their kids will have the same odds as my kids. This only explains the part of August that's explainable. And there's the other part of his genetic makeup that is not inherited, but just incredibly bad luck. Countless doctors have drawn little tic-tac-toe grids for my parents over the years to try to explain to them the genetic lottery. Genetics use these Punnett squares to determine inheritance, recessive and dominant genes, probabilities, and chance. But for all they know, there's more that they don't know. And they can try to forecast the odds, but they can't guarantee them. They use terms like germline, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation to explain why their science is not an exact science. And I actually like how doctors talk. I like the sound of science. I like how words you don't understand explain things that you can't understand. There are countless people under a variety of words, like chromosome rearrangement or delayed mutation. Countless babies who'll never be born like mine. Out with the old. Miranda and Ella blasted off. They attached themselves to a new crowd destined for high school glory. After a week of painful lunches, where all they would do was talk about people that didn't interest me, I decided to make a clean break for it. They asked no questions, and I told no lies. We just went our separate ways. I didn't even mind after a while. I stopped going to lunch for about a week. though to make the transition easier to avoid the fake, "oh shoot, there's no room for you at the table." Olivia, it was easier to just go to the library and read. I finished War and Peace in October. It was amazing. People think it's such a hard read, but it's really just a soap opera with lots of characters. People falling in love, fighting, dying for love, and I want to be in love like that someday. I want my husband to love me the way that Prince Andrew loved Natasha. I ended up hanging out with a girl named Eleanor, who I'd known from my days at PS22. Though we'd gone to different middle schools, Eleanor had always been a really smart girl, a little bit of a crybaby back then, but nice. I never realized how funny she was. Not a laugh out loud at daddy kind of funny, but full of great jokes. And she never knew how lighthearted I could be. Eleanor, I guess, had always been under the impression that I was very serious. And as it turns out, she never liked Miranda and Ella. She thought they were stuck up. I gained entry through Eleanor to the smart kids table at lunch. It was a larger group than I'd been accustomed to hanging out with, and a more diverse crowd. It included Eleanor's boyfriend, Kevin, who would definitely become class president someday, a few techie guys, and girls like Eleanor who were members of the yearbook committee and the debate club, and a quiet guy named Justin who had small round glasses and played the violin, and who I instantly liked. And when I'd see Miranda and Ella, who were now hanging out with a super popular set, we would say, "Hey, what's up?" and move on. Occasionally, Miranda would ask me how August was doing, and then say, "Tell him I say hello." This I never did. Not to spite Miranda, but because August was in his own world these days, and there were times at home that we never crossed paths. October 31st. Grants had died the night before Halloween. Since then, even though it's been 4 years, this has always been a sad time of year for me. For Mom, too, though she doesn't always say it. Instead, she immerses herself in getting August's costume ready, since we all know Halloween is his favorite time of year. This year was no different. Actually, August really wanted to be a Star Wars character called Boba Fett, so Mom looked for a Boba Fett costume in August's size, which, strangely enough, was out of stock everywhere. She went to every online store and found a few on eBay that were going for an outrageous amount, and finally ended up buying a Jango Fett costume that she then converted into a Boba Fett costume by painting it green. I would say, in all, she must have spent 2 weeks working on that silly costume. And no, I won't mention the fact that Mom has never made any of my costumes, because it really has no bearing on anything at all. The morning of Halloween, I woke up thinking about Grants, which made me really sad and weepy. Dad kept telling me to hurry up and get dressed, which just stressed me out even more. And suddenly, I started crying. I just wanted to stay home. So Dad took August to school that morning, and Mom said I could stay home. And the two of us cried together for a while. One thing I knew for sure, however much I missed Grants, Mom must have missed her more. All those times August was clinging to life after a surgery, all those rush trips to the ER, Grants had always been there for Mom. It felt good to cry with Mom. For both of us. "Why do you keep bringing Miranda up?" I yelled impatiently. "I'm trying to talk to you about your friends, so please keep mine out of it." "You're not even friends with her anymore." "What does that have to do with what we're talking about?" The way August was looking at me reminded me of a doll's face. He was just staring at me blankly with his half-closed doll eyes. "She called the other day," he said finally. "What?" I was stunned. "And you didn't tell me?" "She wasn't calling you," he answered, pulling both comic books out of my hands. "She was calling me, just to say hi, and to see how I was doing. She didn't even know I was going to a real school now. I can't believe you haven't even told her. She said that the two of you don't hang out as much anymore, but she wanted me to know that she always would love me like a big sister." Double stunned, stung, flabbergasted. No words formed in my mouth. "Why didn't you tell me?" I said finally. "I don't know," he shrugged, opening the first comic book again. "Well, I'm telling Mom and Dad about Jack Will if you stop going to school," I answered. "Tushman will probably call you into school and make Jack and those other kids apologize to you in front of everyone. And then everyone will treat you like someone that is different. Is that what you want? Because that's what's going to happen." Otherwise, just go back to school and act like nothing happened. Or if you want to confront Jack about it, fine. But either way, if you... Fine, he interrupted. What? Fine, I'll go, he yelled, not loudly. Just stop talking about it already. Can I please read my book now? Fine, I answered, turning to leave his room. I thought of something. Did Miranda say anything else about me? He looked up from the comic book and looked right into my eyes. She said to tell you that she misses you, quote unquote. I nodded. Thanks, I said casually, too embarrassed to let him see how happy that made me feel. So the next part is part 3, and this is told from Summer's perspective. Weird kids. Some kids have actually come out and asked me why I hang out with the freak so much. These are kids that don't even know him that well. If they knew him, they wouldn't call him that. Because he's a nice kid, I always answer, and don't call him that. You're a saint, Summer, Hameda-chin said to me the other day. I couldn't do what you're doing. It's not a big deal, I answered to her truthfully. Did Mr. Tushman ask you to be friends with him? Charlotte Cody asked. No, I'm friends with him because I want to be friends with him, I answered. Who knew that my sitting with August Pullman at lunch would be such a big deal? People acted like it was the strangest thing in the world, and it's weird how weird kids can be. I sat with him that first day because I felt sorry for him. That's all. Here he was, this strange-looking kid in a brand new school. No one was talking to him, and everyone was staring at him. All the girls at my table were whispering about him. He wasn't the only new kid at Beecher Prep, but he was the only one everyone was talking about. Julian had nicknamed him the Zombie Kid, and that's what everyone was calling him. Did you see the Zombie Kid yet? Stuff like that gets around fast, and August knew it. It's hard enough being the new kid even when you have a normal face. Imagine having his face. So I just went over and sat with him. Not a biggie. I wish people would stop trying to turn it into something major. He's just a kid. So remember Summer first sat with Augie at the lunch table and her friends were actually gossiping and not saying very nice things about him. So she stood up and did the right thing, and she sat by August because he was all alone. He's just a kid. The weirdest looking kid I've ever seen, yes, but he's just a kid. The plague. I do admit August's face takes some getting used to. I've been sitting with him for 2 weeks now, and let's just say he's not the neatest eater in the world, but other than that, he's very nice. I should also say that I don't feel really sorry for him anymore. That might have been what made me sit down with him in the first place, but it's not why I keep sitting down with him at lunch. I keep sitting down with him because he is fun. One of the things I'm not loving about this year is how a lot of the kids are acting like they're too grown up to play things. All they want to do is hang out and talk at recess. What I want to talk about now are things that I don't want to talk about. August doesn't bother about that stuff. He likes to play Foursquare at recess, which I love to play too. It was actually because I was playing Foursquare with August that I found out about the plague. Apparently, this is a game that's been going on since the beginning of the school year. Anyone who accidentally touches August has only 30 seconds to wash their hands or find hand sanitizer before they catch the plague. I'm not sure what happens to you if you actually catch the plague because nobody's touched August yet, not directly. How I found out about this is that Maya told me that the reason she won't play Foursquare with us at recess is because she doesn't want to catch the plague. And I was like, what's the plague? And she told me. I told Maya that I thought that was really stupid, and she agreed. But she still wouldn't touch a ball that August touched, not if she could help it. Halloween party. I was really excited because I got an invitation to Savannah's Halloween party. Savannah is probably the most popular girl in school. All the girls want to be friends with her. Anyway, even though I'm not in the popular group, I somehow got invited, which is very cool. When I told Savannah I got her invitation and would be going to her party, she was really nice to me, though she made sure to tell me that she didn't invite a lot of people, so that I shouldn't be going around bragging to anyone that I got invited. And Maya didn't get invited, for instance. Savannah also made sure to tell me not to wear a costume. It's good she told me because, of course, I would have worn a costume to a Halloween party. Not the unicorn costume I made for Halloween, but the goth girl setup that I wore to school. But even that was a no-no for Savannah's party. The only negative about my going to Savannah's party was that now I wouldn't be able to go to the parade, and the unicorn costume would be wasted. That was kind of a bummer. Anyway, the first thing that happened when I got to her party was that Savannah greeted me at the door and asked, "Where's your friend, Summer?" I didn't even know what she was talking about. "I guess he doesn't have to wear a mask at Halloween, right?" she added, and then I knew she was talking about August. "He's not my boyfriend," I said. "I know, I'm just kidding." She kissed my cheek. All the girls in her group kissed each other's cheeks, now whenever they said hello. And I threw my jacket on a coat rack in her hallway. Then she took me by the hand down the stairs to her basement, which is where the party was. I didn't see her parents anywhere, and there were about 15 kids there. All of them were popular kids, from either Savannah's group or Julian's group. I guess they've all kind of merged into one big super group of popular kids. I knew about Savannah and Henry, but Jimena and Miles, and Ellie and Amos? About 5 minutes after I got there, Henry and Savannah were standing next to me, literally hovering over me. "So, we want to know why you hang out with the zombie kids so much," Henry said. "He's not a zombie," I laughed, like they were making a joke. I was smiling, but I didn't feel like smiling. "You know, Summer," said Savannah, "you would be a lot more popular if you didn't hang out with him so much." "You have to choose who you want to hang out with," Savannah said. She was talking to me like a big sister would talk to a little sister. "Everyone likes you, Summer. Everyone thinks you're really nice and that you're really, really pretty. You should totally be a part of our group. If you wanted to, you could. Believe me, there are a lot of girls in our grade who would love that." "I know," I nodded. "Thank you." "You're welcome," she answered. "You want me to tell Julian to come and say hi to you?" I looked over to where she was pointing, and I could see Julian looking over at us. I actually need to go to the bathroom." "Where is that?" I went to where she pointed, sat down on the side of the bathtub, and called my mom and asked her to pick me up. "Is everything okay?" said Mom. "Yeah, I just don't want to stay here," I said. Mom didn't ask any more questions, and she said that she would be there in 10 minutes. "Don't ring the bell," I told her. "Just call me when you're outside." I hung out in the bathroom until Mom called, and then I snuck upstairs without anyone seeing me. I got my jacket and went outside. It was only 9:30, and the Halloween parade was in full swing down Amherst Avenue, huge crowds everywhere. Everyone was in costumes, skeletons, pirates, princesses, vampires, superheroes, but not one unicorn. So it seems like Summer knew that the popular group was not doing the right thing, and they were saying not very nice things, and it made Summer feel uncomfortable. So she did the right thing. Instead of joining in with them, she called her mom to come get her and take her home. November. The next day at school, I told Savannah I had eaten some really bad Halloween candy and gotten sick, which is why I went home early from the party, and she believed me. There was actually a stomach bug going around, so it was a good lie. August was absent the day after Halloween, and when he came back, I could tell something was up with him. He was acting so weird at lunch. He barely said a word and kept looking down at his food when I talked to him, like he wouldn't even look me in the eye. Finally, I was like, "Augie, is everything okay? Are you mad at me or something?" "No," he said. Sorry you weren't feeling well on Halloween. I kept looking for Boba Fett in the hallways." "Yeah, I was sick." "Did you have that stomach bug?" "Yeah, I guess." He opened a book and started to read, which was kind of rude. "I'm so excited about the Egyptian Museum project," I said. "Aren't you?" He shook his head, his mouth full of food. I actually looked away because between the way he was chewing, which almost seemed like he was being gross on purpose, and the way his eyes were just kind of closed down, I was getting a really bad vibe from him. "What project did you get?" I asked. He shrugged, pulled out a little scrap of paper from his jeans pocket, and flicked it across the table to me. Everyone in the grade got assigned an Egyptian artifact to work on for Egyptian Museum Day, which was in December. The teachers wrote all the assignments down on tiny scraps of paper, which they put into a fishbowl, and then all of us kids in the grade took turns picking the papers out of the fishbowl in assembly. So I unfolded Augie's little slip of paper. "Oh, cool," I said, maybe a little overexcited because I was trying to get him to be psyched up as well. "You got the step pyramid of Saqqara." "I know," he said. "I got Anubis, the god of the afterlife." "The one with the dog head?" "It's actually a jackal head," I corrected him. "Hey, you want to start working on our projects together after school? You could come over to my house." He put his sandwich down and leaned back in the chair. I can't even describe the look he was giving me. You know, Summer, he said, you don't have to do this. What are you talking about? You don't have to be friends with me. I know that Mr. Tishman talked to you. I have no idea what you're talking about. You don't have to pretend, that's all that I'm saying. So now it seems like August is now worried that the friends he does have at school are only because a teacher asked him to be his friend, even though that Summer became his friend on his own. I know Mr. Tishman talked to some kids before school had started and told them that they had to be friends with me. He did not talk to me, August. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. I swear on my life. I put my hands up in the air so that he could see I wasn't crossing my fingers. He immediately looked down at my feet, so I shook off my Uggs so that he could see that my toes weren't crossed either. You're wearing tights, he said accusingly. You can see my toes are flat, I yelled. Okay, you don't have to scream. I don't like being accused of things, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. You should be. He really didn't talk to you? Augie. Okay, I'm really sorry. I would have stayed mad at him a little bit longer, but then he told me about something bad that had happened to him on Halloween, and I couldn't stay mad at him anymore. Basically, he heard Jack bad-mouthing him and saying really horrible things behind his back. It kind of explained his attitude, and now I knew why he had been out sick. Promise you won't tell anyone, he said. I won't, I nodded. Promise you won't ever be mean like that to me again? Promise, he said, and we pinky swore. Warning, this kid is rated R. I had warned Mom about August's face. I had described what he looked like. I did this because I knew that she was always so good at faking her feelings, and August was coming over for the first time today. I even sent her a text at work to remind her about it, but I could tell from the expression on her face when she came home after work that I hadn't prepared her enough. She was shocked when she came through the door and saw his face for the first time. Hi, Mom, this is Augie. Can he stay for dinner? I asked quickly. It took a second for my question to even register. Hi, Augie, she said. Of course, sweetheart, if it's okay with Augie's mom. While Augie called his mom on his cell phone, I whispered to Mom, stop making that weirded out face. She had that look like when she's watching the news and some horrific event has happened. She nodded quickly like she hadn't realized she was making a face and was really nice and normal to Augie afterwards. After a while, Augie and I got tired of working on our projects and went to hang out in the living room. Augie was looking at the pictures on the mantle and he saw a picture of me and my dad. Is that your dad? He said. Yeah. I didn't know you were... What's the word? He looked at the picture. Are your parents divorced? I've never seen him at drop-off or anything. Oh, no, I said. He was a platoon sergeant. He died a few years ago. Whoa, I didn't know that. Yeah, I nodded, handing him a picture of my dad in his uniform. Wow, look at all those medals. Yeah, he was pretty awesome. Wow, Summer, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I really miss him a lot. Yeah, wow, he nodded, handing me back the picture. Have you ever known anyone that's died, I asked. Just my grandmother, and I don't really even remember her. Well, that's too bad, Augie nodded. You ever wonder what happens to people? I asked. He shrugged. Not really. I mean, I guess they go to heaven? That's where my grands went. I think about it a lot, I said. I think when people die, their souls go to heaven, but just for a little while. Like that's where they see their old friends and stuff and kind of catch up on the old times. But then I actually think that their souls start thinking about their lives on earth, like if they were good or bad or whatever. And then they get born again as brand new babies in the world. Why would they want to do that? Because then they get another chance to get it right, I answered. Their souls get a chance to have a do-over. He thought about what I was saying and then nodded. Kind of like when you get a makeup test, he said. Right. But they don't come back looking the same, he said. I mean, they look completely different when they come back, right? Oh yeah, I answered. Your soul stays the same, but everything else is different. I like that, he said, nodding a lot. I really like that, Summer. That means in my next life, I won't be stuck with this face. He pointed to his face when he said that and batted his eyes, which made me laugh. I guess not, I shrugged. Hey, I might even be handsome, he said, smiling. That would be so awesome, wouldn't it? I could come back and be this good-looking dude and be super buff and super tall. I laughed again. He was such a good sport about himself. That's one of the things I like most about Augie. Hey, Augie, can I ask you a question? Yeah, he said, like he knew exactly what I wanted to ask him. I hesitated. I've been wanting to ask him this for a while, but I've always lost the guts to ask. What? He said. You want to know what's wrong with my face? Yes, if that's okay for me to ask. He shrugged. I was so relieved that he didn't seem mad or sad. Yeah, it's no big deal, he said casually. The main thing I have is something called mandibulosis ditosis, which took me forever to learn how to pronounce, by the way. But I also have this kind of syndrome thing that I can't even pronounce. And all these things kind of just morph together into one big super thing, which is so rare that they don't even have a name for it. I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm actually considered something of a medical wonder, you know? He smiled. That was a joke, he said. You can laugh. I smiled and shook my head. You're funny, Augie, I said. Yes, I am, he said proudly. I am cool beans. The Egyptian tomb. Over the next month, August and I hung out a lot after school, either at his house or my house. August's parents even invited Mom and me over for dinner a couple of times. I overheard them talking about fixing Mom up on a blind date with August's Uncle Ben. On the day of the Egyptian Museum exhibit, we were all really excited and kind of giddy. It had snowed the day before. Not as much as it had snowed over the Thanksgiving break, but still, snow is snow. The gym was turned into a giant museum with everyone's Egyptian artifact displayed on a table with a little caption card explaining what the thing was. Most of the artifacts were really great, but I have to say I really think mine and August were the best. My sculpture of Anubis looked pretty real, and I even used real gold paint on it. And August had made his step pyramid out of sugar cubes. It was 2 feet high and 2 feet long, and he had spray painted the cubes with this kind of fake sand paint or something. It looked so awesome. We all dressed up in Egyptian costumes. Some of the kids were Indiana Jones type archaeologists, and some of them dressed up like pharaohs. August and I dressed up like mummies. Our faces were covered except for 2 little holes in the eyes and 1 little hole for the mouth. When the parents showed up, they were all lined up in the hallway in front of the gym. Then we were told we could go out and get our parents, and each kid got to take his or her parents on a flashlight tour through the dark gym. August and I took our moms around together. We stopped at each exhibit, explaining what it was, talking in whispers and answering questions. Since it was dark, we used our flashlights to illuminate the artifacts while we were talking. Sometimes, for dramatic effect, we would hold the flashlights under our chins while we were explaining something in detail. It was so much fun, hearing all these whispers in the dark, seeing all the lights zigzagging around the dark room. At one point, I went over to get a drink at the water fountain. I had to take the mummy wrap off my face. Hey, Summer, said Jack, who came over to talk to me. He was dressed like the man from the Mummy. Cool costume. Thanks. Is the other mummy August? Yeah. Hey, do you know why August is mad at me? Uh-huh, I nodded. Can you tell me? No. He nodded. He seemed bummed. I told him I wouldn't tell you, I explained. It's so weird, he said. I have no idea why he's mad at me at all. No idea. Can't you at least give me a hint? I looked over at where August was across the room, talking to our moms. I wasn't about to break my solid oath that I wouldn't tell anyone about what he overheard at Halloween, but I felt bad for Jack. Bleeding scream, I whispered in his ear, and then walked away. Alright, so the next part that we will read next time is called Part 4, and it's told from Jack's perspective. So I like how each part that is told from a different character's perspective talks in a different tone, or the author wrote the sentences and the words that the characters are saying in their own personal tone that shows their personality. Like when it was Summer's chapter, she used the word like pretty often, whereas Via didn't use the word like that often. So it'll be interesting to see what Part 4 by Jack is like.